Okay, so we're going to continue where we left off in the previous video by focusing now in the face region, just holding down the shift key and smoothing a bit, but also using the pinch tool among the surface brushes to help reform some of the areas of the face. Next, I want to unhide the layer that has the color information because I want to make it semi-transparent. This will allow me to see some of the texture, but also see some of the details of the surface beneath as well. The pinch tool is especially good for this task because it extrudes inwardly or outwardly with a sharp crease, which makes it perfect for eyelids, lips, nasolabial folds, and it's great for wrinkles. Now switching to the Voxel Smooth brush to further refine the surface of the model, but I'm really just trying to provide a brief demonstration and a moderate level of cleanup work here. If I were doing this for a client or in a production setting, then obviously I would spend quite a bit more time in this effort. But I did want to show what we can do with 3D Coat. And so now I am going to focus in the hair region just to provide a bit more texture in terms of depth. Another good option that we have in order to reconstruct the hair or add some texture to it is using the muscles tool in 3D Coat to create volumetric strands of hair. You can start with large clumps and then just continue to reduce your brush size to refine the strands to much smaller sizes. Of course, the smaller you go, the more voxels you need to form the shape. So make sure that you do that accordingly. Obviously, you don't want to go too far with it, but test as you go to see if the resolution is sufficient for the level of detail that you're after. You can use a shader and customize it to match the hair color that you're trying to replicate. And you can also use texture paint. Even though it's a voxel object, you can apply texture to it. Here in the paint workspace, I'm using the fill tool in order just to select the sculpture layer and have it fill using that. And then I'm going to go back after the fact and reduce the glossiness. Now, with all the sculpting edits done, we are ready to clean up the textures. And one way that we can really help ourselves is to use the original 3D scan to bake all the original color onto a newly cleaned up version. Because there may be parts of the model when we were cleaning up that didn't have color information. So when we bake from the original, we get that color information back. I'm now in the paint workspace and I'm going to touch up the areas that don't have color information, such as the area that we reconstructed here in the shoe area. When you want to pick a color, you can simply use the pick tool and then click on the object in the viewport. But you can also hover over with your cursor and hit the V key and it will sample it. I wanted to try the power smooth feature, but to be honest, it really works best when the color information is on the same layer. In this case, it's on a separate layer, so I'm just going to repick the color that I had applied before and just very lightly apply paint in the transition area to help blend it in. And I can also hold down the Shift key to help smooth that as well if I need. And here I'm just sampling a few areas of the skin in order to reuse the color texture to paint over instead of trying to use the clone tool, because there really is not enough of the skin texture, in my opinion, in order to use the clone tool. After touching up all the textures, I'm now ready to merge the hair that I created using the muscles tool with the voxel object. We have now completed our 3D scan cleanup and we are ready to send it back to Blender. Just before we do, let's first check in the geometry menu under define measurement units and set our units of measure. I find personally that centimeters works best in terms of matching the overall scale in the viewport. When doing a direct export of a voxel object, 3D Coat will ask us if we want to decimate. We can adjust the amount accordingly, but we can also choose not to decimate at all. But I found that anything over 25 million polygons will tend to make 3D Coat crash. So I'm reporting that to development to see if there's anything that can be done about that. But when I keep it under 20 million, it seems to work pretty well. It looks like it has finished exporting, so let's jump over into Blender 5.0. And here it sits in the viewport. I didn't do anything else to prepare it other than to have the original copy sitting in the viewport so we can compare the before and after. And as I mentioned before, the textures come in exactly the same way they were in 3D Coat via Vertex Paint, and all the textures are already set up for us. So as you can see in the viewport, I have EEVEE enabled. Now, if we wanted a lower polygon quad mesh for the purposes of animation, we could do that in 3D Coat by auto retopologizing or manually retopologizing the model, setting up our UVs, baking all of our textures onto that lower polygon version, and then export the model back to Blender. And with that, we will conclude the series regarding the recent update of the 3D Coat to Blender Applink add-on, and demonstrating it with a practical project-based example. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.